Hi everyone, Tanya Wills, midwife in New York City, and this is The Cancer Project. Today on The Cancer Project, I want to talk to you about my visit with my new surgeon. It was good. So just a little update about why I'm seeing a new surgeon. I had a great surgeon for my lumpectomy and my re-excision that I had back in November and December. She did a great job on the surgery. I'm super happy with the outcome of the surgery. The problem that I faced in that office, it was a private practice, and most of the communication about the status of the surgery, so the pathology results of my surgery, which were really important to me at the time because my cancer was being staged through that process. All of those results were delivered by the PA, who really couldn't answer any questions, and I didn't feel like I had a close relationship or that there was good communication between the surgeon and the PA. I just didn't feel like I had a real team on my side. I didn't really feel like I had access to a team. I felt kind of uninformed, and just to kind of like update you, like sort of the straw that broke the camel's back for me was that, you know, I had my re-excision. The re-excision I had mainly because they didn't get clear margins, and also because when they did my sentinel node biopsy with the original lumpectomy, totally unexpectedly, so clinically, she couldn't palpate any problem with my lymph node. When she removed my lymph node, she didn't see any cancer in the lymph node. Also, no imaging showed cancer in the lymph node. There was no way we could find it. But of course, in pathology, the one lymph node that she took out, the sentinel node, was positive for cancer. It wasn't like a couple of cells. Like it's a tiny little tumor, a very small tumor. So once they took that out, I was very shocked to learn that lymph node had cancer, and I knew that it was going to change things for me. So when I had my re-excision, my surgeon took out 7 more lymph nodes, and she took them out on a Monday and said, somebody will call you by Thursday. Nobody called me Thursday. Nobody called me Friday. Monday was Christmas Eve, and I called the office and left a message, and nobody called me back until the day after Christmas. So I was waiting to find out how far the cancer had gone through my lymph nodes through Christmas. And I just don't even need to tell you how hard that was. So I finally got the call the day after, and of course I cried, and I was so happy to hear from it. But I really decided through that process that I was ready to get a real team on my side. And luckily I was connected with Memorial Sloan Kettering, and I got in there just within a couple of weeks, which was really miraculous. My original surgeon works in private practice and always refers people to a different institution, to a specific oncologist who could not see me for 5 weeks, and the woman who answered the phone was really cranky. So I just was like, I am not doing this. So everybody at Sloan Kettering has been wonderful. I've talked about it in many videos, and I will continue to talk about it, and this was no exception. My oncologist at Sloan Kettering, Dr. Modi, if you want to know who it is, she's really fantastic, decided when I got there that they didn't have any radiographic evidence that my re-excision cleared me of all my cancer. She wanted to get an MRI, which we did do, and the MRI found 2 spots, which I was totally convinced was going to be 2 spots of DCIS, which is non-invasive stage 0 cancer. And to my delight, after I had my MRI guided biopsy, the radiologist herself called me and told me that there was only cancer in one of the spots, and the other spot was actually not cancer. So this is stage 0 cancer, DCIS. It has a 100% cure rate, and surgery itself is curative. So this next surgery that I'm going to have is not an issue about finding out the staging of the cancer. It's not invasive. They're not going to take out any lymph nodes. There's no problem with that. The question going in with this new surgeon that I did see the other day was that I've been reading a lot in the medical literature about the way that early breast cancer is handled. It gives me a lot of security to know that my doctors are following the best evidence. And if you know anything about Memorial Sloan Kettering, one thing that I have found out is that they're always following the best evidence. And the doctors that I talk to there, they cite the studies that they're talking about, and they say, go look that up. You can read more about that. I love that about them. Everything is evidence-based in all of the hospital policies there. It's really excellent. The question in my particular case, it's now getting kind of complicated. And when I look in the medical literature, I don't exactly know what to think because there's not really anything about my case specifically. I did read that if there are tumors in multiple places, that usually a mastectomy is recommended. So I've been trying to kind of prepare myself for the possibility of mastectomy. But both Dr. Modi, my oncologist, and also the radiologist that I saw, she said that it's such a small little bit of DCIS. They both were just like, you're probably just going to have another lumpectomy. But I was very unsure. And, I had a lot of questions about it because this breast just seems so diseased, and why is there so much in there? I have a new surgeon. I had to wait a month for the visit, but it was totally worth it. When they told me that I was going to be meeting with Dr. Hirt, I had already kind of Googled around in the Sloan Kettering website and already had kind of a doctor crush on her. And I could just tell that she was really awesome. And Dr. Modi told me that she's one of the most sought after surgeons at Sloan Kettering. And I just loved their whole attitude because I just thought she was way out of my league. And right away they were like, oh, we're just going to send you to the best person. So that felt great. She did not disappoint. She was fantastic. She has terrific, super positive energy. Knew my whole story as soon as she walked in. She said, oh, I read your whole history. I looked over all of your MRI results and we're going to sit down and talk about next steps. She did a breast exam so she could look at my breasts. And I think part of the reason for that is that, the decision between lumpectomy and mastectomy, I think a lot of people think that if you have breast cancer, the best thing to do is to get a mastectomy. Actually, that's not always true. What the medical literature actually says is that if you do a lumpectomy with radiation, the outcomes are actually just as good. Sometimes for cosmetic reasons, people have to do a mastectomy, even if they probably could be a candidate for a lumpectomy. If their breasts are very small, maybe cosmetically the outcome doesn't make sense, they're better off doing mastectomy and doing reconstruction. And of course, if people have more widespread disease or if people have cancer in both breasts, like there's many, many considerations about when mastectomy is most important. And of course, I want to give it its respect. Some people choose a mastectomy. I'm not knocking it. Just to let you know where I'm coming from, and those of you who know me won't be surprised to hear this, is that my feeling is I want exactly what I need and none of what I don't. I don't want to start overdoing surgery because I'm afraid of cancer, when we know from the medical literature that that's not the answer for everybody. So we sat down. I think she looked at my breast to see, how much breast tissue I had to see, like cosmetically, would it make sense to do another re-excision? We sat down in the consult room afterwards. She showed me the images on MRI, and she showed me the images on my mammogram, and she explained to me what she was seeing. She did say that she believed that it was small. I was very nervous because my original imaging, when I had my mammogram and my original biopsy way back in October, my tumor measured 1.7 centimeters. But when they actually went in and did the surgery, it turned out to be twice as big. It was 3.4 centimeters, which made me go from stage 1 to stage 2 right there. I had this concern about, well, what if we think we're going to do a lumpectomy, but it's actually much more widespread? Like, do I actually just need a mastectomy? Like right off the bat, without me even asking this question, she explained how 10 years ago, or maybe even 5 years ago, we would have never found this DCIS. Either chemo would get it, or radiation would get it, or you'd have a recurrence, right? And I said, okay. So she said, but now we're finding all of these things. And so the idea is, if we can, let's go in and get it out. Here's what I think. She said, she showed me, the imaging, and she said, now, as you know, imaging doesn't always tell us everything, and it can also be kind of inaccurate at times. One of three things has happened here. 1, the biopsy got it all and it's already gone. 2, it's about as big as we think it is. I can go in and do the re-excision, do the lumpectomy, and then we want to try and get clear margins all around, just like you did for your other lumpectomy. And if we can get that, then you're done and you move on to radiation. Or we have trouble getting clear margins and we can see that it's more widespread than we thought. And in that case, we can have another conversation about a mastectomy. And that probably would be the best thing to do next. I loved that idea, that we sort of take a 2-step approach, because here's what we see on imaging, but only pathology can give us the results, which is not what my original surgeon really told me. She downplayed pathology so much. She said, this is what we're seeing, this is what it is. And I didn't realize how frequently what is seen on imaging doesn't match up with what they find in pathology. Right up front, she was super honest about that and wasn't trying to downplay what I had. And she had a plan that seemed very good for what to do so to make sure that I get only the minimal surgery that I need that could be curative, and if we find that it's not curative, we can just go back in. The good news about this lumpectomy when I do it is that they're not going to remove any lymph node from my underarm. That's already done. This is non-invasive cancer. She's literally just going to take it out, and we want to make sure that we're just getting clear margins. So I do expect this to be even easier than my lumpectomy and my re-excision, and I'm going to get propofol again and wake up with that sense of well-being. So that's our plan. And I did ask her too, because, I still need to do radiation. And I said, how far, if I need to have a mastectomy, how long will it take before we sit down and we talk about that? And she said, we're going to have pathology results in a few days. I'm going to do my follow-up just a week after the surgery. At that visit, we'll know if I'm going to have more surgery. If I need a mastectomy, the question becomes do I do a single or do I do a double? Is really the only immediate question that I would need to answer, which we could talk about in that visit, because what I understand from radiation is that if we do a mastectomy, they don't do reconstruction. If you decide to do reconstruction, which I don't know if I will or if I won't, I'm just not there yet. So my understanding is that they do radiation before they do reconstruction. I'd have some delay there anyway, and that would be time for me to decide. So that's kind of where that is, and I think that we'll get a good feel for that. So the plan right now is to do the lumpectomy a couple of weeks after I finish chemo. My visit with Dr. Hirt was, 100% excellent. They gave me all of the information about the surgery. They're going to do it a little bit different. They're going to put a radioactive seed that they said is about the size of a sesame seed by the DCIS the day before. And they said that I can't hold my kids for more than 30 minutes while it's in my breast. They'll put it in my breast the day before, and then I'll go in that day. I'm feeling super good and positive about this plan. I was really nervous that I was going to go in and she was just going to say there's no hope for you, but she really felt really confident that doing a lumpectomy, if we get the clear margins, I said, what about the atypical cells? What about all the, she's like, you're going to get radiation. The radiation is going to get anything else. And plus your chemo got a whole bunch of it. So it feels great. And I'm really excited about it. That's it for today, guys. So if you like hearing my shit, like and subscribe. We're going to have more updates soon. I'm going to tell you about the radiation oncologist that I visited. And also I want to tell you all about how my chemo is going. So stay tuned and I'll see you soon. Bye.